diabolic to say that. It's horrible. I know it's traumatic, but that's the truth. That there is a lot of evil people in the highest places. And the highest it gets is these senators and the Congress and those that own the copyright at the very top. The grand puppeteers are those. They're pulling the strings of the senators and the Congress that put sanctions on Russia, that get them to vote to legitimize and validate the theft of the wealth of our nation through that '08 bailout that Bill Clinton started the ball rolling on. Okay? Get it, folks. You got to get it. It's serious stuff, man. Very powerful evil has taken over this nation and the whole world by default, because we are the world's reserve currency, these Federal Reserve notes. We're screwing it up everywhere in the world, creating wealth and income disparity and poverty. All these dubious wars are starting them on a purpose. They want plenty of crime. They want plenty of dubious war. They want you to think it's a just war. Like 9/11, oh, we got to go to Iraq. They did this to us. When we all find out it was absurd later. God, we're screwed up, man. They want to say there's nothing we can do about the national debt. It's just, well, get people off welfare. That's where it's all going. From the welfare that they created the need for, the poverty that they created through increasing our cost of living, the tax on our existence, and debasing the worth of our currency, and then calling that progress because it's a later time in history. Hey, it's later in history. Of course we're progressing. You live in a civilized society, right? Land of laws and stuff, right? Very selective laws, right? That the elitists are excluded from having to follow, right? They're too big to jail, and the institutions are too big to fail. Then people wonder how we got here from there. It didn't happen overnight, folks. It's been happening for a long time, and it's still going on. And Trump is trying to stop it. God help him. In the name of Jesus. God help humanity. God help us all. Gaining wisdom, when we compare the secular or the lower definition of the term success with the higher or cosmic definition, we arrive at vastly different paradigms, vastly different definitions of the term. Gaining worldly wisdom or gaining cosmic wisdom. Totally different animals, my friends. Through default, by reducing our overall standard of living by way of cost of living tax, inflation / currency debasement, they are effectively ushering in a new standard. That's the cost of death tax. That's right. That's what we're all paying. We're all paying to murder one another now. They're blaming us, saying, well, you just can't get with the program, man. This is social Darwinian economics. You got to take 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Yeah, we keep raising the bar, but it's in the name of competition, right? So you just, even though we've made it so you're all at each other's throats trying to survive, and you got to get more ruthless and cutthroat with each other to survive. It's progress, go along, get along. It's all okay. It's all okay. It all makes sense. You understand inflation, right? When nobody does practically. Nobody understands that it's regression. God help us. There are a lot of perks to being a nobody, quote, prerogatives that the, quote, somebodies don't enjoy. I've talked about that in depth. As a metaphor, the worst kind of hypocrite is the type that lets their dog crap on your lawn when no one is looking, but keeps a sharp eye out for anyone who would dare let their dog crap on their own lawn. And when it happens, they start bitching and screaming about it before giving a chance for you to even pick it up. Right? How do you like that for an analogy, a comparison, a metaphor? Yeah, judgmental. These are the types that are judgmental to the nth degree. They'll call you judgmental, but when you do that, you see, calling someone judgmental without merit is a very judgmental thing. It's very condemning. And that's what I see a lot of in our society. And it's the epitome of hypocrisy. And there's a whole lot of people running around like that, and they're a vomitable bunch. Why a belief in reincarnation is a double-edged sword. On one hand, if you believe in karma, or the cultural equivalent, as you sow, so you reap, and all that, what goes around comes around. Cultural equivalent dictates that God intends to send us back, reincarnate us, and does this in order that we will understand how it feels like to be on the other side of our own business practices. A basic part of human existence is business, monetary related, right? We can all agree. On the other hand, if we expect another shot at the apple, so to speak, we may not do our very best to learn what we need to learn this time around, therefore, and preparing ourselves for whatsoever the afterlife may bring. And I talked a lot more in depth earlier about that, but it's something to ponder that we should all think about. God works in ways that are not easy to always, you can't calculate. It's not like we can second guess God or ever get any step ahead of him. But it's okay to be curious and ponder how he does business. But understand he's not stupid, and we can misjudge him in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, his intelligence is exponentially, infinitely higher than our own. Some will tell you to work hard in life and you'll succeed. But then you ask those that succeed, at least as defined by the world, making a lot of money, being prosperous and all that, financial security, financial freedom. But those that are there will tell you, no, don't work hard, work smart, right? So you got to be cunning and conniving and all this sort of thing. So I hear people say you got to work hard and all that, and I say, wait a minute. I've heard the opposite from those that are successful as defined by the world. A philosophical query. Does the right to free speech include the right to disrupt free speech, to squelch somebody else's free speech? And I contend it doesn't. A classic case of irony. Though America is probably the least racist, most accepting, tolerant nation on earth, some professed Americans, at least, by name, perpetually and chronically obsess on labeling us racist, bigots, and intolerant in America, right? I want to be very clear. When I complain about this crap hole we call a civilized society, I am not complaining about natural organic issues such as forest fires, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, stinging insects, oppressive heat, miserable cold, etc., diseases, death. No, I am only complaining about the unnatural, inorganic, invented, wholly unnecessary suffering that evildoers inflict upon all of us. We humans are amazing creatures, and we must realize it. We need not and should not tolerate the flotilla of undeniable, unequivocal, utter BS foisted upon us all from birth at the whims of the money masters of misery. It's every person's right, responsibility, and obligation to be at least as smart as we can be, should be, and need to be. And simply being honest with ourselves is the first and biggest step toward being smart enough at least to survive. Just because a lie emanates from the lips of the highly educated, often maleducated, in no way increases the veracity of the lie. How crony capitalism affects a society seeking real civil progress. Badly, very badly. Very divisively. We live in a utopian paradigm for fraudsters. The diabolistic nature of the money masters of misery conflating capitalism with true capitalism can only be underestimated at our own peril. Jesus declared, I did not come for the righteous but for sinners. Guess what? That's all of us. I'm thinking of producing a new internet series featuring the upright, the honest, those with integrity and a conscience. The title will be The Uncockables. An example of not seeing the forest for the trees. Having so many people and good things in our lives blessing us, but obsessing and being fixated only on the negative things. No matter how wise one is or believes they are, we are all still only human and therefore quite capable of thinking, saying, and doing very stupid, foolish things. Since information, especially contemporaneous current information, is a distinct form of education, we are all depending upon a wholly corrupt entity with a glaring agenda, MSM, mainstream media, and all are therefore misinformed and maleducated by intent for nefarious purposes. The objective of constructive criticism is to build up a person and is not to be confused or conflated with an insult which is designed to tear down a person. I fully understand that the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth can be a metaphorical big fat finger down the throat. The state of affairs for humanity at large in the 21st century